Welcome back to another episode of Bold Blind Beauty on Air. Bold Blind Beauty on Air is clearing the air for more air, accessibility, inclusion, and representation. I'm Stephanie McCoy.
I'm Nazreen Buddha.
And I'm Sylvia Stenson Perez.
And we're your co-hosts.
You know, May is Healthy Vision Month. And one of the big things when it comes to vision that we sometimes overlook is getting those annual eye exams. We need to get those comprehensive eye exams because they determine a lot. They can tell us about our vision changes and also other symptoms in our body, such as diabetes or glaucoma or even thyroidism. So it's important to do that. Hey, ladies, when was the last time you all got an eye exam? Do you guys remember?
Yeah, this is Steph. Actually, I had my most recent one. Let's see, it's been about 3 weeks ago, I think, because a part of my eye condition is glaucoma. So I am required to go to my doctor 4 times a year to check my pressure to make sure that it is stable, because as you may or may not know, with glaucoma, it's like the silent thief of sight. So the pressure that builds up in the eye can damage the optic nerve. And what happens, because it affects the peripheral vision, and because I'm already, low vision and rely quite heavily on the vision that's left in my left eye, any other vision loss due to my glaucoma, I can't really detect that unless it's through a field test at my doctor's office. But I go now every 4 months, and of course I have to take my medication. So I'm on 3 different medications. So yeah, that's what I do. How about you, Sylvia?
Well, Steph, if I had to go to the eye doctor 4 times a year, I'm not even sure how I would feel about that, because I don't know about you girls, but I know that for myself and for many people I know, that's a pretty stressful thing. Already we know we can't see, and it's just a reminder of how much we can't see. I have historically not been super good at getting in as regular as I should. Just telling the truth, which is really sad when you know I work in the field of blindness. But I did a couple months ago spend 4 days getting multiple tests as part of a study. So it was pretty comprehensive. It was also pretty depressing to see how much vision I don't have. I am pretty blind. But I do always tell people, and I always try to practice too, at least getting in every couple of years for sure. Because as Nazreen said, it is really important because changes can occur that you just aren't even aware of. Nazreen, what about you, since you brought up the topic?
Yeah, well, I'll happily say that I've graduated from an annual exam to every 6-month exam. Just because my doctor wants to keep an eye on my condition, which is retinal pigmentosis. And I have what you call angular. The angles, actually, it's about drainage really, and it's about where the vision can be distorted a little bit because of how the eyes are draining in the back, and therefore I have some tight spaces because my eyes are shaped very differently. They're shaped like almonds, and therefore they suggested actually that I put a couple of holes in my eyes in the last 2-3 years. But honestly, guys, this is where I have to say, even though we recommend you go for annual exams and get comprehensive testing done, I recommend that everybody do your research, because they wanted me to do these holes in my eyes, and I went for comprehensive tests, and I walked away last moment from my surgery because I just didn't feel that it was the right thing for me and it wouldn't solve my problem.
So find an ophthalmologist and an optometrist that you can trust and that you can ask questions to, and visit them regularly.
And don't be afraid to say, no, this is not for me. No can do. Be armed with information and do your research, because they're your eyes. Even though they may not be working effectively or efficiently right now, they're the only pair you have.
And also, don't be afraid to get a second opinion. If they tell you something and you might feel a little off about it, or you've done your research and you may think that there's just something that doesn't sound quite right, don't be afraid to get a second opinion and fire your doctor. You can do that. You have to be your own health advocate.
I love that. Fire your doctor, Sylvia.
But one thing I do want to say is oftentimes eye care providers don't tell people that they can still do things even when they get that first diagnosis of visual impairment, such as RP or glaucoma or macular degeneration. They essentially say, oftentimes, there's nothing else we can do. Well, there might not be anything medically that can be done, but you can learn the skills that you need to still live, function, work, and be productive and enjoy life.
Our first guest is Jonathan Marin. He's from New York City, and he's a program director with City Access, New York, and he's also an author. Welcome, Jonathan.
Thank you for having me.
As someone who is sighted, Jonathan, why the passion and the dedication in working with the blind and visually impaired community?
Oh, I'll give it a condensed version because this could be very long. So once I started job coaching in the early 2000s, I was doing seasonal job coaching with visually impaired high school students. And what I started to notice throughout the years was that some of these high school students I was working with were being put in job experiences that weren't challenging enough for them. They weren't allowing them to really utilize their skills because some of these students were really smart. They had some real personal talents when it came to technology and writing and things like that. And I would know that because I would read I would have access to their files, and just since I was a job coach, I would also talk to them and play a little bit of a mentoring role. So I started to get this fire inside of me that was burning, and I kept telling myself, if it was up to me, this particular student would have been working somewhere where he or she wanted to be. Once I started working for City Access New York, I was then put in a position of power to do that.
Can you share with us what is the City Access program, and how are you involved?
So City Access New York is a 501c nonprofit based in New York City, and they have several programs under them. The program that I run is a career discovery project, which is a grant-funded year-round program that connects blind and visually impaired high school and college students with paid internship opportunities. I am fortunate enough and blessed to be the program director of this project.
And Jonathan, is this a nationwide program, or is this just in your area, your state?
So the other programs within City Access New York are all local. However, the Career Discovery Project, we have a lot more flexibility because we're able to provide students with remote work opportunities. So now it sort of is it could be a nationwide program. I had students working for companies in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, thanks to the remote work opportunities. Otherwise, when they're working on site, they're local within the 5 boroughs or somewhere in upstate New York.
For others out there, how can they hire an intern? How can they hire an intern?
So it's funny. There are many ways to do it, and they all lead back to me getting a referral from the Commission for the Blind. So let's just say there's a cultural institution that would like an intern to work with them for one of the semesters, whether it be summer, fall, or spring. They can come to me directly. They tell me what the job description is. I will go and search for a student by asking the teachers for the visually impaired or commission counselors to see which student that they might know or have under their caseload that might fit that might be a good fit for this job opportunity. Once they find one, they send me the student's information. I reach out, introduce the program, let them know about the job opportunity. I get the resume, send it to the inquiring job site, and then we hope an interview is granted.
I think that's a great experience for the kids. And finally, Jonathan, you're also an author of a book called See Us. Can you tell us a little bit about these students that were in this book and this project?
Sure. So CS is a photographic journey of 6 visually impaired students from New York City that are balancing their lives between work, home, and school. These students were participants with the Career Discovery Project back in 2019. However, the book is not about the Career Discovery Project. It's more about the students' lives and giving readers an intimate look at how they are handling their struggles and taking advantage of their opportunities. I mean, I'm really hoping with this book that it erases some stigmas that are out there and people start to see the visually impaired in a whole new light.
They are future leaders, so I think this is great. Thank you so much, Jonathan. And how can the listeners connect with you, Jonathan?
Sure. So they can talk with me on Twitter at author_Marin, MARIN. And on Instagram, they can follow me at the author John Marin, JONMARIN.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
At BowblindBeauty.com, we sell a message of empowerment, acceptance, and hope conveyed through our fashion icon, Abby. Our mission is to improve humanity by changing the way we perceive one another. When you shop our online store, you support our mission and projects such as this podcast. The Relax It's Only a Cane t-shirt is soft and lightweight with the right amount of stretch. Abby is front and center above the slogan with the word cane in non-tactile braille. For full product details, please visit BowblindBeauty.com. Next up, Sylvia sits down with Regina Mitchell.
Our next guest today is a friend of mine, but also just an amazing person. Regina Mitchell is a classically trained chef who has worked with amazing chefs from all over the world. She has so many accolades and talents that it's hard to even talk about all of them. Recently, she is working in the Las Vegas area with Angela's House as a culinary instructor for people who are blind and visually impaired. And before I introduce her, I want to say that I have been taking Regina's virtual cooking classes for several months now and have learned amazing new things. And so I just really appreciate Regina and her generosity in sharing her knowledge and her skill. So Regina, welcome.
Thank you so much. I have been waiting to speak to you all since I was asked to come and join you. So thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on, Regina. I just think you're amazing. So will you share with us and our audience just a little bit about your vision loss journey?
I will, definitely. Well, first of all, I am married to an amazing man. This is next month will be our 36th year of being married. And I wanted to acknowledge my husband for actually being a part of my vision loss journey. So I wanted to start off with that. My vision loss journey began on the road to Arizona, and we were going to a family trip that we were taking yearly, and I started getting eye pain. I didn't know what to do with it because it would come and go. on the road. And once we got settled into our destination, it literally stopped. So we kind of thought, well, maybe it was the trip itself on the road. And it did start up again. It was mostly my right eye. And then back again, when we completed our journey on the road back home, it started again. And we thought again, well, maybe it's just me being in the car, the movement of the car. And then the next morning when I got up for work, the pain increased. And I had to go to the doctor, the emergency room. He referred me to an ophthalmologist here in the Las Vegas area. And for several months, they just really couldn't figure out what was happening and what was the cause of the vision decline. And then one doctor referred me to a doctor at UCLA Medical Center, the Jules Stein Eye Institute, when he was an intern. And so I did go. UCLA Medical Center is approximately 3.5, 4 hours drive from our home. And so we took the trip and I met with the doctor there, Dr. Levinson. And he immediately looked in my eye and realized that I had what was called bilateral panuveitis, which is an inflammatory disease, which takes up the vitreous cells as well as the central area of the eye. And instantly, he also requested that I take another exam because he felt that there was other things happening in the eye. And I did. And then I was also diagnosed with a sarcoid in the eyes. And so one of the ways to calm down the inflammatory cells is to be treated with a low dose of chemotherapy. And so since that diagnosis in 2012 till current, I have been taking small doses, infusions monthly to continue with the residual vision that I do have.
Wow, Regina, that sounds stressful. You know, the eye is such a delicate thing. And we were talking about it earlier and how important the eye health and getting regular checkups is. And there's just so many things can happen to the eye. And yeah, that's just stressful. So, but I know that you did not let that stop you.
No.
One of the things that I love that you teach, Regina, is to use your hands. And I think that so many people, especially those of us who are visually impaired, think we can't use our hands to cook or to touch the things to see if they're done. But you pointed out that chefs who can see do that, and that
Yes.
they taste things all along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Changed so much for me. And I will tell you, I have become so much more creative and exploratory in my own cooking because I love to cook. But tell us about how now you are making such a difference in so many people's lives who are visually impaired with your cooking and your willingness to teach us how to not just use adaptive skills to cook, but to take that to that next level and be these great home cooks too. Tell us more about that.
Thank you. Well, when I was cooking professionally in the Seattle area before we moved here and before I lost my my sight, my husband cooked along with me. And he would cook, or actually assist me in cooking for my clients. And when I lost the greater part of my sight, he started cooking more. But at the same time, he was still asking me when is it ready? Taste this, honey. I was still giving my opinions and assisting him in the kitchen, although I was apprehensive about going back into the kitchen because someone that cooks professionally and then all of a sudden you can't cook it anymore because you just don't have you don't think you have the skills anymore because you can't see it. That is really, really heartbreaking. And I really do believe that it was something that, it put a pause in my life. So, however, as time went on, I started cooking just a little bit, just tiny bits, because I did take a class. I was going to UNLV full time, and I took a class on food history. And we had to do a project. And our final project, we had to cook this amazing meal. We had to record it and do all this stuff. And I chose the most complicated dish, which was a muqueco, which was a Brazilian fish stew. And so I did it. I actually completed the complete meal. And there lies my aha moment. I thought, oh my goodness, I could do this again. I could actually do this. And when I graduated from UNLV, I went back to the Blind Connect Angela's house for a support group meeting. Afterwards, they were doing their cooking class, which was a part of their program. And it really intrigued me. And I thought about it for a couple of months. I wanted to step back in and I wanted to lend a helping hand. And I did. And I started helping them in the kitchen, just sort of monitoring the safety aspect of it, as well as lending my skill. Because although I too was blind, I also was learning blindness skills. So it was as if we were kind of dancing together, this blindness skill along with my culinary skill. And it was beautiful. I enjoyed it. I felt that I was now back into my element. And now I am able to cook with and learn with my beloved community. And it occurred to me, I have traveled globally to cook under master chefs. I have had the privilege and honor of working with some of culinary greats, along with cooking with beautiful people. And now I'm wrapping back around and taking all this beautiful, insightful skill, and now I can gift it to this community, which now belongs to me. And it really is heartwarming to give this back. And so this is why I do it, is because it was freely given to me, and now I want to just give it back.
Wow, Regina. I mean, I think you epitomize bold, blind beauty. You truly do. And I know that for me, it's been really life-changing to participate in your cooking classes. It really has. And so you talk so much about, you might not use this word, but about resilience. What would you say, Regina, really gives you that resilience that just is so apparent in you?
Well, it means to me to take that thing, that has tried to derail me, and to use it to move me forward. My husband has always called me a converter because he says, I have this amazing gift to be able to look a tragedy in the eye and say, that's okay, I'm coming back for you. That's okay. It's cool. That's all right. We're going to take this and we're going to excel. So with that, I have been able to convert those things, those tragedies, into this thing that sometimes that can become bigger than myself. I have managed to convert a tragedy. That's what sent me to culinary school. That's why I decided to go to culinary school, because of a tragic incident that happened. I was able to convert vision loss by just going back to school and taking on something totally different in my life. And then to be able to convert the inability to cook, like during the pandemic, our inability to be able to gather, and to convert that during a pandemic into a bold, innovative leap of faith, and to say, you know what? I can actually do this. I can actually take something that is a visual concept, bring it into the non-visual world, and do it with blind people on a Zoom call. I can do this. So my resiliency is the ability to convert something that has been handed to me and make it beautiful again.
Thank you. So before we go, I didn't send you this question, but do you have just one tip for everyone on how to make that next dish just, over the top?
Yes, but first, before I say that, I do want to say that there are thousands of beautiful things waiting for you. And they're just sitting on the edge of their seat, waiting for you to come by and get it. And we all need to just take that time to consider these beautiful opportunities. And that no matter what life throws at us, just be ready. And we can take a pause for self-care. We hurt, we cry, we laugh, but we can take that pause to bounce back. So now, what can we do to take that next great dish of ours to the next level? Taste, 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 taste your food, and be creative. Go to the produce department. Find something that you never ever cooked before, or an ingredient, or a produce, a fruit, a vegetable, and challenge yourself. Take your seasoning out of that drawer, put it in your hand, take your other two fingers, rub it together, and smell it. Smell that it actually goes from something that's very dull to something that's very bright and brilliant. Cook, take a deep breath, challenge yourself. You don't have to go from not cooking to all of a sudden cooking overnight. But what you can do is take baby steps. And instead of using iceberg lettuce, use arugula that's peppery and bright and amazing. Instead of using olive oil, use almond oil, instead of or grapeseed oil. So just take your humble ingredients, and even just like for yourself, take even that to the next level.
So a shout out to Stan Mitchell too, Regina's husband, because he is awesome. And he is always her sous chef. And sometimes she even lets him be the teacher in the class. So shout out to him because he's great too. Regina, thank you so much for being with us.
It was my pleasure. Thank you, ladies.
And if people wanted to connect with you, how can they do that?
Yes, you can connect with me on Instagram through Regina D. Mitchell, Facebook, Regina Mitchell, and my email is chefrdm@gmail.com.
Thanks, Regina. And this is a wrap up for this edition. Remember, everybody, May is Healthy Vision Month. So don't forget to go out there and get your comprehensive eye exams.
Please share this and ask your friends to subscribe and follow us and join us for our next podcast, Bold Blind Beauty on Air. Thanks for listening, everyone.